Okay, hi everyone. So in this video, we're going to go ahead and talk about Lewis dot diagrams of ionic compounds. So how we can represent the transfer of electrons from the metal to the nonmetal when we form those ionic compounds. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing you need to do when drawing the Lewis dot diagram of an ionic compound is to draw the Lewis dot diagram for each of the elements involved. And remember, the number of dots that we draw for the element equals the number of valence electrons, which we can get from the group number. Next, we're going to draw arrows, moving the valence electrons from the metal to the nonmetal. That's really important. Always has to go from the metal to the nonmetal. And the metal is going to end up with 0 electrons overall. So it seems like it gets rid of all of its electrons because we're going to go to that hidden inner ring of valence electrons. And then the nonmetal is going to end up with 8 electrons. If you don't have that, then you did something wrong. And then if needed, we're going to draw more Lewis dot diagrams of the elements, either more of the metal or more of the nonmetal, in order to make sure that everyone has what they need, so that the nonmetal has 8 and the metal has 0. Once we have this, we can then go ahead and figure out the formula units. Remember, that's the lowest whole number ratio of the metal and the nonmetal that makes up that ionic compound. So we list the metal first and then the nonmetal second. We're then going to write the number of each element used in our Lewis dot diagram as a subscript. So remember, subscripts are small numbers written down below. Now we do not need to write a subscript of 1. If we go ahead and write the element symbol, it's already implying that we have one of those, so we don't need to duplicate things. And then if possible, we're going to reduce the subscripts. So if we have 2 and 2, we reduce that to 1 and 1, which we don't need to write. So we'll see some examples of that. So let's go ahead and try this out. Okay, so for our first example, we have sodium bonding with chlorine. So sodium has the symbol Na for natrium, which is its old Latin name, and it has 1 valence electron. It's in group 1. So we go ahead and do the 1 dot for that one. And then chlorine has the symbol Cl. It has 7 valence electrons. It's in group 17. If you need help with that, make sure to look back in your notes. So we've started by drawing the Lewis dot diagram of both of the elements. Now we're going to draw an arrow from the metal to the nonmetal. So sodium is my metal, chlorine is my nonmetal. So I draw my arrow showing the electron going and pairing up to fill up that empty spot. So now when I'm all done, sodium's gotten rid of all of its valence electrons and chlorine is gaining that 1 to get that full octet. So that would be my Lewis dot diagram of sodium chloride, or this compound here. Now I also need to write my formula unit. So I begin by writing my metal first, and then my nonmetal second. Now, if I had more than one of these elements, I would also add subscripts, little numbers down below, but in this case, I don't. If I just have one of something, I don't need to write the formula unit, or don't need to write the subscript. So it's just NaCl for this one. Now, my second example, I need to have sodium. Okay, so it has the same Lewis dot as before, bonding with oxygen. So oxygen has a symbol O. It's in group 16, so it has 6 valence electrons. So go ahead and draw that. And now I'm going to have my arrow showing the electron moving from the metal to the nonmetal. So again, sodium is the metal, oxygen is the nonmetal. So I go ahead and draw that out. So sodium's lost all of its electrons, but oxygen only has 7 if we add 1 to it. So we're not quite done yet. So in this case, I need to add more of the other thing that I used. So in this case, it's going to be another sodium I need to add. And I know I need to add another sodium because oxygen isn't full yet. So I add more of the opposite thing. So I'm going to go ahead and draw out a second sodium Lewis dot. Draw that arrow going to that other empty location. So now oxygen will have 8 valence electrons, and both of my sodiums will have lost all of their valence electrons. So that's my final picture for this one. And sometimes when you do Lewis dot diagrams of covalent compounds, you need to keep going back and forward, adding more of the metal or non-metal, but I promise it will work out eventually. So now, when I go to write the formula unit, again, I write the metal first, and then the non-metal second. And this time I have 2 sodium, so I need to add a subscript, that little number 2, down below. Oxygen, I just have 1 of them, so I don't need to add a subscript. Okay, so thanks for watching, everyone. If you have any questions on this, please go ahead and let me know. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye.